Hi, I'm astrologer and life coach Penny Dix, and welcome to my YouTube channel, and welcome to my in-depth look at the forthcoming triple conjunction of the North Node in Taurus with that extraordinary, unpredictable energy, the planet Uranus, my big outer boy, and Mars, our god of assertion, energy, aggression, and they are all conjunct in the sign of Taurus, which is fixed, which is Earth. So how is this energy going to play out? First of all, before I launch into my look at this energy, the second half of the video, I will actually look at each zodiac sign and how it affects each particular star sign. And that's so that you know the area of your life you can expect this energy to unfold in. But first of all, let's just look at it generally and in terms of how it's going to affect the planet, because it's a once-in-a-lifetime energy. Who knows if this is a good thing or a bad thing? Let's just say it's happening. Because if we judge it, it kind of prevents the insight that can come from whatever unpredictable planet Uranus dishes out. So the exact conjunction is on the 1st of August. But we're going to feel it from about the second half of July through to the middle of August. So it's taking in the energies of not only the full moon in Capricorn in July, on July the 13th, where the full moon is conjunct Pluto, but also the new moon at the end of July, which is in Leo, and then it takes us up to the full moon later on in in August, which is in Aquarius. Right, well, let's just have a look at why this is a once-in-a-lifetime transit. Because Mars makes a conjunction with both Uranus and the North Node at least every couple of years. But to have all three in exact alignment in Taurus is rare. What can we expect? Well, let's just have a look, because also, just to remind you, that full moon in July on the 13th, and I have got a video up on my channel already describing the energies of that. That full moon is conjunct Pluto, retrograde Pluto in Capricorn, which is on its exact return point, its natal return point for the birth chart of the United States of America. So it's hugely significant, but I'm not going to go into that here. So we also need to look at retrograde Saturn in Aquarius is making a harsh angle, a square, to this triple conjunction. Because retrograde Saturn is moving towards its exact square again with Uranus, which is a bit later on, not this month or next month, but really not till September, October, it'll be exact. In the event chart, it shows me that this energy is ultimately about communication and grounding tough talk. Because if we are to succeed in overcoming the challenges that our planet has been facing since the end of 2019, then tough talk does have to take place, and egos needs to be left outside the door. This energy is imploring us to find common ground, to somehow be on the same side in terms of debate and looking for a compromising solution that suits all sides. We need we need to rescue our collective destiny from a karmic legacy that we're not going to be proud of, and turn it into one that future generations, that our children can be proud of. How's the planet going to fare with this energy? Well, quite literally, electricity and internet outages could be absolutely rife with this energy. And that's because retrograde Saturn in Aquarius, that is squaring Uranus and the NorthNode and Mars in Taurus. Saturn is retrograde, so it's slowing things down. So we might see, I don't know, wattages slowing down. We might see internet slows down, or just stopping. Uranus, you see, that rules Aquarius, that's why it's so super exciting, actually is about also technology and electricity. So that this unpredictable energy of Uranus, making this hard square to Aquarius and the sign it rules, and Saturn, really is asking us to take care with electric things and electricity. So with Mars, who is also, of course, our god of war, in the mix, we could see cyber attacks. That could certainly be happening, and as I'm sure it already is within Russia and Ukraine, and I have no doubt in many other places in the world. So we also might see unpredictable and and out of control wildfires again, and we often get that in the Northern Hemisphere at this time of year, because I don't know about you, but I'm based in Malta in the Mediterranean, and we have extraordinarily high temperatures at the moment. It's today, for instance, which is the 6th of July, it's been like nearly up to real feel 40, which is over 100. I don't go out, I stay home. I just have the aircon on and a fan on and try and get on with my work. Thank goodness I have this work, because it's too hot to go out and do anything else. So we also, with this energy, might see unpredictable earth events. Sadly, like volcanic activity and earthquakes. I mean, we had one quite recently in Afghanistan, so we might get more of that kind of earth movement might come along. What about our hotspots in the world with regard to politics? Well, let's start with America, because their political energy is certainly being ramped up, and the suddenness of falls from grace may affect significant people. Mr. Trump. I couldn't resist popping that in. That's also happening in the UK, where the government is currently in freefall, if you're watching the news. And if Boris Johnson survives the exodus of ministers from his cabinet, it will truly be an extraordinary survival, which could also be the result of this triple conjunction. It can go either way. We will see. But the NorthNode, because it is about our collective destiny, implies it's a greater plan that is being played out currently. And the full moon in Capricorn could certainly see leadership changes around the globe. But what about Russia, Putin, Ukraine, Zelensky? Well, this energy suggests some kind of climax being reached, which can determine the course of events in this conflict over the next 6 months. The economy of Russia is already suffering. Remember, Taurus is also about money and value in the economy. So this conjunction is just going to see all sorts of twists and turns in world economy, let alone individual countries, and inflation, and just kind of effects of what's been happening over the last 2.5 years that none of us really want, and we are going to have to really find ways individually to manage this. And of course, Russia is continuing to reduce Ukraine to a kind of ground zero. I had a look at Putin's chart, and this aspect for him in Taurus is in his relationship sector. But that's interesting because it can also be the house of open enemies. It's conjunct his natal Jupiter. Jupiter expands. Jupiter kind of just makes something much larger. So the danger is much greater. Well, with this extraordinary energy for him to deal with, his personal safety would be paramount at this time. How's it all going to end? That's what I want to know. And because of Uranus being such an unpredictable planet, it's so difficult to know. But I do feel we need to keep our eye on China, the land of the dragon, because really they're remaining fairly quiet. They have got internal problems, but I do feel that it's important to just keep a mindful eye on what comes out from China and what they say. I think we're also going to see more from our rising star, the president of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky. And he might have some surprising Uranian tricks up his sleeve. The triple conjunction for him, however, is in a very personal, private area of his chart, which does indicate him being shaken to the core. So both these leaders need to take personal and physical care, because whatever unfolds now really sets the stage for the next few years of world history. But I expect you're wondering how it's going to affect you personally, and in a minute I'm going to go on to your individual zodiac signs. But firstly, I just think in general we're all going to be feeling this tension and a kind of general rebelliousness in our consciousness. And even those of us that usually sit on the sidelines and observe might be moved to extraordinary action. In its lower vibration of energy, it can bring fighting and riots out onto the street to change our destiny. And we've already seen this in parts of the States where they've sadly had more shootings. We've even had a bad shooting. We had one in Oslo, in Norway, and we had one in Denmark, of all places, in a shopping centre in Copenhagen. This is unheard of in these parts of the world. And I know from talking to Danish friends that it shook them to the core. But you know, if we can just rise up to a higher vibration and see the bigger picture, then we can move back into the transformational energies of retrograde Pluto in Capricorn. And we can also find ways through Chiron, our wounded healer, our asteroid in Aries, who is making an interesting angle to Venus, our goddess of love and relationship and value, to transcend physical arguments, to start listening and valuing each other's points of view. Because it's only by listening and responding and not reacting that positive change can be forged. So just a final thought before I go on to your zodiac signs, because we're all being asked to step up with this energy. And if there's nothing we can do personally to affect the outcome, then once again we have to look within. Because it's only by being brutally honest with ourselves that changes and shifts of human consciousness can be elevated. It's time for experimenting with outcomes, with looking at alternatives to what we feel are solutions to difficulties and problems. It's a time for choosing respect for each other's differences. It's a time for constructive change, and that can only come from within. And if each person looks within, takes responsibility for their thoughts and feelings, and I know I'm repeating myself, I say this a lot, but I just feel so passionately that it only comes from within. I try and look at myself all the time to see where I might be getting in my own way or getting caught in my ego, and trying to just step back into my truth and my authentic self. And that's really what all of us can strive to do. So now let's come on to your individual zodiac signs. And for you, Aries. Well, it's interesting. It's in your house of finance. Now, you've had this unpredictable, unstable energy here for a little while, so you're already used to the fluctuations and ups and downs of what's happening with your own financial situation. And I do feel that because Saturn is slowing down and slowing things down in Aquarius, in that part of your chart that's to do with dreams and projects you'd really like to launch, things that will take you and connect you with the world at large, that if you're thinking of putting some money into a venture, that it might be prudent and wise to hold off just for the short term until things astrologically settle down again. So I would actually urge caution until really the end of October in anything that you want to initiate. Taurus. How about you, Taurus? Wow. This energy, of course, is in your first house. I'm a Taurian. I know how it feels. I have been going through extraordinary kind of internal changes, and I know that my friends are probably experiencing me in very different ways. I've probably never worked as hard as I've worked now since I started my astrology business and my YouTube channel, which is really interesting at this point in my life. But it just shows you we can all do it at any time. And I'm not going to tell you how old I am, but I'm not young. Let's leave it at that. But this Uranus, Mars conjunct the NorthNode in Taurus in our first house is an extraordinary opportunity for your career. And this is where you can really make huge strides forward. It's to do with hard work. Saturn retrograde in Aquarius in your house of career really asks you to work hard. And that if you do the work, you will reap the rewards in the long term. So whatever is going on for you, Taurus, keep at it. Keep doing it. Because it has huge potential. Gemini, what's going on for you? Well, this, of course, is about the inner you. This is about that part of you where, on many levels, I think you've been waking up. Over the last couple of years, I think you've been seeing life in quite a different way. And with Mars now in the mix, in this part of your chart, it's really kind of firing you up to start putting into action, to sort of plans into action that are to do with your self-knowledge and self-awareness. Many of you will really be doing research on how you can develop yourself on an intellectual and knowledge level. And Gemini, go for it. Do all of that. Cancer. This is for you, Cancer. Cancer, this is about projects you're trying to launch. Cancer, you might get the opportunities in very unexpected ways. Trust that. But be mindful of that Pluto in your 7th house of significant relationships. We've got this full moon coming up, and that full moon is asking you to make the right decisions about when you act on a particularly personal project you want to launch. Saturn in Aquarius is saying, make sure you can actually back this up with the funds you need. If it's something that you need to inject a little bit of finance into, make sure you're not going to go short, because with the twists and turns of what's happening in the world at the moment, nothing is certain. So just be mindful of that. Leo. Well, Leo, gosh, this is also super exciting for you, because this is very much about your, it's about your career and your public and sort of public profile, it's how we see you on that kind of world platform, that world stage. And whatever it is you're doing something that is really going to push you into the limelight. Uranus, interestingly, can be social media in the sense that it can represent cameras, internet, action, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, any of those kind of platforms. And if you're using these platforms to promote your business, then use this energy in a constructive way, because if you're mindful of how you use it and use that energy wisely, you can really make huge strides forward with support from business partners. Listen to your business partners. That's Saturn in Aquarius in your 7th house. And they are asking you and reminding you to take your time, to be aware that all these things need to unfold in the fullness of time at the right time. So be mindful of that, Leo. Virgo. Virgo. This is all about how you kind of really transform the energies that you have learned in terms with subjects that you are extremely passionate about. I think there's something that you've been working on that is really going to take a step up. You have the energy to make the changes for you to take this idea that you have forward with you into the future and make it a worthwhile pursuit. It could be a career. It's certainly something on your soul path that you want to develop. You're passionate about something, Virgo, and this energy is giving it a chance to take off. Just be mindful of how it affects your day-to-day working routine. Make sure that you pace yourself and don't allow that Mars energy to exhaust you. Take time out and slow down when you need to. Libra. For you, Libra, this is very much about, is there something you're trying to, realize in terms of transforming some aspect of your life that really doesn't work for you anymore? And it feels as if you want to just kick back and have a bit of fun. And this Uranus energy could see you with Mars there, acting quite out of character and doing things that, people are surprised because, Libra is quite moderate. Even though Libra is cardinal, it's still basically fairly balanced. So to see Libra really kind of stepping out there and taking some risks, which I think is what you're going to be doing. And there could be friends popping back into your aura or your sort of just general surroundings that are really going to be surprised at the changes they see in you. So that's going to be very interesting to see how that pans out. Scorpio. Scorpio. Wow. Well, what's happening in your relationships? Goodness me, they're going all over the place. There's twists and turns that none of us could have foreseen. Even unexpected love coming into your life from quite extraordinary circumstances. And you know what? If it does, it's destined. It's something that's kind of karmically meant. And this is going to stir things up at home with your family. They may not like what you are proposing or what you're planning to do. But this energy is short-lived. So sometimes people come into our lives like what seems like a twin flame or a soulmate for a season, just for a time, to teach us something about life or about us. So be careful you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, Scorpio. Sometimes it's about just enjoying something for what it is, learning from it, and taking that energy and that learning into the future. Now let's move on to Sagittarius. Sagittarius, your routine is all over the place. This Uranus and Mars there are really disrupting things for you. It's all over the place. I also feel if a trip to the dentist is needed or a medical checkup, do get it done between the middle of July and the middle of August, because otherwise it could flare up in a way that really you don't want. So just be mindful of that and make those appointments. Capricorn. Well, this is interesting energy for you, Capricorn, because it's in the part of your chart that is to do with fun and creativity. And it's squared by Saturn in your house of finance. So I actually think you're probably splashing out a bit and just having a little bit more fun than normal, but it'll only be for a short period. So even though Saturn and your bank manager might be saying, hey, slow down. No, don't do that yet. Capricorn, you could even have unexpected hot fire passion relationship at this time. Somebody comes into your life quite unexpectedly and you have a really passionate time with them. It may again be short-lived, but wow, you're going to have some lovely memories of the summer. Okay, now we move on to Aquarius. For you, Aquarius, this energy is at home. It's to do with your family. What's going on at home with the family? There may be changes that are happening that are unexpected, that are particularly unpredictable. There could be family sort of disputes. Again, take them for what they're worth. Don't react too strongly to them, because yes, you've got Saturn retrograde in your sign. Saturn is asking you to be circumspect about this energy and to just, it's like storms in teacups. Yes, children will play up, or siblings will play up, or husbands and wives and partners will play up, but just give them a bit of slack. You know, we've all been going through tough times, so just be mindful of that energy. And finally, we come on to Pisces, my lovely, lovely oceans of emotion, my fishes. Pisces, what are you up to? What are you talking about? Because I think you are going to be surprising quite a few people, especially in your locality, with what you're coming out with. You're feeling particularly frustrated and irritated that people just don't get you or don't get what you're on about. And this also has something to do with the inner you. And I think it's about thinking before you speak, thinking before you act, Again, like I've said for one of the other signs, don't throw babies out with bathwater. You might need them. They may actually have an important part to play in your life. Because Saturn in the sector of your chart to do with the inner you is really asking you to slow down and reflect. So whatever it is that is really inciting you, whatever is winding you up between mid-July and mid-August, take a few steps back, take a deep breath, count to 10, and then I think all shall be well, and all manner of things will be well. So on that note, I'd like to thank you all for coming to join me for this in-depth look at this triple conjunction between Mars, Uranus and the NorthNode. I was going to do it as a heads up, a short heads up, and then I realized there's far too much to say. This has to be a full video. So thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for liking, commenting and subscribing. If you've not subscribed, please help me get to that 1K figure. I'm really trying to. I'm so eager to get to that point. It'd be super helpful if you could help me with that. And do check out the other videos on my channel, especially the ones I do with Conscious Medium Brandon Russ. We do an episode of our series of Whiskey and Bagels once a week, so there'll be another one out very soon. Thank you for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.